In the fourth round, he has him taking a wide receiver that, we talked about that. Jonathan Mingo, this is a guy, and you see the age, kind of has been flying up draft boards, according to Peter Schrager from the NFL Network. You see the 40 time, 10-yard split is good as well, 22 reps on the bench press. Guy's a little bigger, 6'1", 220. Ole Miss has produced some physical wide receivers, was hurt as a junior. And then the other pick in round 4, Smith has him going offensive line. And you see a big-bodied guy, 22, 6'6", 318. The bench is pretty good. The shuttle's not bad for a big offensive lineman. 10-yard split at 1.8, pretty good as well. Mingo and Selavari, both of those guys in the fourth round, yeah, I'll take them if they're there.
Yeah, I've looked, I've always said before that when you talk about when you talk about drafting, no matter how good your offensive line is, I always feel like you need to get one. And I think Nick Saldiveri, he's a guy that I got to do a little more work on now that he's kind of, starting to pop up, earlier and earlier in day 3. And this is a guy, like, looking at him initially, got a good build for the position. I mean, 6'6", 318 pounds. He moves well, which I think, with the zone blocking scheme, you need guys like that who can move. You just need that mobility, and 34 starts in his career at right tackle. So plenty of experience. Experience and mobility, I think, are two big things you want an offensive lineman. And the question, I guess, would he eventually be the swing tackle if you don't believe James Hudson can develop anything else, or are you kind of developing him to be maybe a starter down the road? Maybe are you looking for him to be, a guard potentially, in case they decide to move on from Wyatt Teller after this coming season. So he's a talented player that I feel like can play multiple positions and certainly can, take care of, kind of safeguard the future a little bit potentially for the offensive line. And when it comes to Jonathan Mingo, I kind of saw some of those reports saying, all of a sudden, he's getting some second round buzz. And I think when you look at, his profile, it's easy to understand why. I mean, he's almost 6'2", 220 pounds, had an amazing NFL combine, still a little raw as a receiver. I think didn't have quite the production you would expect or you would kind of hope to have. But, I think that's just kind of the knock on him is just, he didn't quite produce as well as he is. But when you look at, just his traits, those are phenomenal. I talked before about how he's got plenty of versatility. He played more than a third of his snaps last season in the slot, which I think is important because, in this receiving core for the Browns, you might need to put him inside and you might be able to move him outside to kind of keep rotating guys in and out in certain situations. And you talked about that, Ole Miss receiver factory, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. It's amazing those two guys came out in the same draft. I think, 10, 12 picks apart. And, both guys they're two of the best receivers in the NFL. And, of course, the Browns already have a Ole Miss receiver in their room in Elijah Moore. So I think it'd be kind of fun, I think, for the Browns to bring Jonathan Mingo back, a little bit of a reunion with him and Elijah Moore, and kind of gives them a built-in mentor to help them adjust to the pro game. So I think that would be an interesting fit.